What is up, everybody? Clint Lamb with Cover Crimson. So, this whole mailbag idea is something that I've been kind of mulling over a little bit. How do I want to do it? What would give you guys the best content? It might be something where we switch it up over time and we might start doing individual, spend 3, 4 minutes, maybe doing one question, post that individually. We might start making it something as far as shorts are concerned, or maybe we go 7, 8 minutes and I do multiple questions. That's the plan today, but it's all going to be dictated based off of how much you guys enjoy it, the value that you feel like you get from it, and how these videos are performing. That will determine exactly what it looks like moving forward. But I did want to give you guys a chance to ask me some questions, whatever you wanted to regarding it. Could be from the Tennessee game, it could be South Carolina related, it could be more season related or role related. So we got some great ones. So we're going to be going over those and I'll be discussing them a little bit. The first one's going to be coming from the BD James. Always appreciate you, James. He asked, Coach Grubb basically said we will see more of Daniel Hill. Do you think it will be as an RB2, making Kevin Riley a situational type, obvious passing situation down back? Will the primary running back duties be more evenly split between Jam and Daniel, especially since Hill's pass pro has begun to progress? I will go ahead and say, as long as Jam Miller is fully healthy, I do feel like that he's going to continue to be the main featured back. And I do think he's going to continue to get a pretty large majority of the carries. Now, will he get the 21 that he was averaging prior to this past Saturday against Tennessee? He had 20 plus both against Vanderbilt and Missouri. Will it look like that? Maybe not each and every week. There might be certain or specific games, but I could at least see bare minimum 14, 15, 16 carries, and then you get Daniel Hill involved as the RB2 behind him, depending on how he continues to progress as well. Because we got to remember, at one point in time, a lot of people thought it would be Richard Young as that RB2. I thought that it was going to be Daniel Hill. It was really not him either. Dre Washington was originally involved in the rotation. He's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. Plus, Kevin Riley was a surprise RB2, I guess you would say, both while Jam Miller was out, but then once Miller returned, kind of that first guy off the bench was Kevin Riley. But he's kind of taken a back seat to Daniel Hill in recent weeks. So just because this is the way it's trending right now, it will all be dictated based off of performance. So if Daniel Hill wants a consistent role, he's got to be consistently productive. And I think that's really important to mention. They're not just going to keep hammering him, banging their heads against the wall, trying to get him carries or involved if he's not doing a whole lot with his opportunities. The good part about it is the last 2 weeks, whether it be Missouri or Tennessee this past weekend, he has been making the most of his opportunities. And I think we can all easily agree he was the most consistent, productive back that Alabama had on Saturday against the Vols. And, that's kind of what we had heard about him all throughout the spring. For whatever reason, that didn't translate to fall camp. I think injury might have had something to do with it, but he's kind of getting back to being that guy. And so as far as your specific question, I don't think it's going to be like an even 50-50 split, but I do think he has emerged as the RB2. I think what he provides from a power profile, he's a versatile piece. He can catch the football out of the backfield and pass protection. You mentioned that, James. That is critical. If you can't do that, you're not going to be playing much in this offense. And the fact that he was so effective against UT in that area, and the fact that he's got all this ability, as a runner and as a receiver, I do think he is like a true 3-down option for Alabama, who can also be a versatile piece at some point, who you might try to get involved in some other ways. Get him on the field along with Jam Miller. Make him kind of an H-back or a tight end, or flex him a little bit. Do some different things. I'm not saying that's 100% in the works, but he's got Swiss Army knife type of versatility. I would love to see that versatility utilized through a creative way by Ryan Grubb and the rest of this offensive staff. But yeah, I definitely think he's going to be a huge part of it moving forward, a huge part of the run game. And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how he continues, his role continues to increase or evolve, because this is the Daniel Hill that I'd heard about back in the spring, and I was really excited about it. LA Farms, he asked, is Domani playing himself out of a starting role, or is Dijon just better? I think in some ways it's a little bit of both. The fact that you have a talented player like Dijon, who has done some really good things in practice, and you're seeing the flashes on Saturdays, he still has to continue to grow and get more experience, and there's going to be some up and downs. There's going to be some hiccups. But I think overall, what he's providing as far as the length and the physicality that he brings to the table and his understanding of the defense, while it's not perfect, he's certainly in a situation where you can trust him a little bit. And so he's getting those opportunities. And I think while there are some growing pains that you're having to work through, one thing that you're not seeing from Dijon is a lack of physicality or a lack of willingness to come up and play the run. And something that I noticed from Domani when he got in later in the game against Tennessee, he was actually pretty physical. You didn't like the pass interference calls on him. There were multiple. That was disappointing. But as far as coming up and willing to make hits, this was the most motivated that I've seen him in a while. So the fact that Dijon is kind of like a Michael Carroll, Wilkin Formby situation at right tackle, you're kind of seeing in some ways the fact that the talented 5-star freshman Dijon Lee is taking over in some ways as far as that corner opposite Xavier Brown. That's kind of lit a fire under Domani Jackson a little bit, or it seems to have. And hopefully that continues because he's a really good player. We were expecting big things from him, but just his unwillingness at times to be an impact player against the run. I mean, Tyrion Arnold, he'd come up and hit you. And as far as the screen game and getting off blocks and making tackles, he was great at it. Kool-Aid McKinstry was good at it. They've had dudes who are willing to do that. And Zabian is willing to. Dijon is willing to try. And overall, he's pretty effective at it. So Domani, if he wants to continue to have a role or any sort of consistent role in this defense, he's got to get better on that front too. I just think competition is making everybody involved better, which is going to make this football team quite a bit better. So Michael Bills asked, it seems like every week our defense has progressed. Do you think a guy like London Simmons could make an impact soon? It has been nice to see guys like Pierre and James Smith have an impact. I think Simmons is already making an impact. I think that's been pretty clear. I understand what you're saying as far as that next step and making the big splashy plays and everybody's recognizing them. I do think that Simmons has flashed some of that. His ability to execute his job pretty consistently has been very impressive for not only a true freshman, but a guy who didn't enroll until the summer. Like, he was not an early enrollee. He was not a highly rated guy coming out of high school, and yet he almost immediately started generating buzz when he got on campus, and especially in fall camp. And, you know, even though they had a really good top two at that nose position with Tim Keenan and Jeremiah Beeman, Simmons was starting to generate some buzz to a point where it's like, this guy's probably going to get some action or some opportunities. Obviously, Tim Keenan having to miss time due to injury, that opened the door for him to get a pretty big role, even from week one. And then the season-ending injury to Jeremiah Beeman really opened up the door for a long-term role in 2025 behind Tim Keenan once he returned after London had got quite a bit of action as a temporary starter. And Simmons is just continuing to get better each and every week. And that makes you feel really encouraged based off of where Tim Keenan's at in his career and the fact that he's probably going to be moving on or is going to be moving on. You really want guys for the future. And I think Alabama's found a good one. I think Simmons is a lot more of he's a better lateral athlete than I was expecting to see. I knew he had power. I knew he had that ability to kind of anchor and be a good player against the run. But as far as working up and down the line of scrimmage and just making plays, he's been much more effective at that than I was anticipating watching his high school tape. So that has really made me encouraged about his future. I think he was severely underrated, being a lower-rated 3-star recruit, and he's proven people wrong. So, yeah, I definitely think he's only going to continue to get better. Now, we've seen guys, Jaheim Otis, early in his career, he contributed. DJ Dell, early in his career, he contributed. But did they ever turn into star performers, despite the fact that it's like, oh, they're helping early, and you would expect them to get better year over year, so they're going to end up being superstars before the end of this. It never happened with DJ Dell. He ended up being an undrafted free agent, didn't stick in the NFL. Was a good player for Alabama. Wouldn't have said that he was a great player. Jaheim Otis, I think through other means, he ended up falling well short of expectations, ended up transferring out. And, you know, that is what it is. But London Simmons feels a little different because I think he's already making those splashy impact plays that kind of shows he's not going to be like a space eater. He's not going to be a guy who, oh, he's a rock in there for you, but you know, he's really not going to show up on the stat sheet. I think he's actually making some pretty big plays, some negative plays for the opposing offense and creating opportunities for the defense. So Don't necessarily know if that's going to turn into, oh, he's going to be Aaron Donald. They're not even close to like the same type of game. He's not going to be a guy who racks up double digit sacks. He's not even a Christian Barmore on the interior, but I do think he's a guy who's going to impact the game quite a bit and be a reliable, above average SEC starter for the next few years. So that's certainly encouraging to see as well. Went a little long with this, only ended up answering 3. We had a bunch of great questions. But if you enjoyed this, definitely let me know. Definitely like the video. That will tell me a lot. But then also comment. Let me know if you have any thoughts as far as maybe, hey, keep these shorter. Just do one straight to the point. Know exactly what the topic is. Give it to us. However you guys want me to do it, I'll certainly do it because this content is for you guys. We appreciate all of you for the 10,000 subscribers. We plan to start upping the content over here, and I want you guys to feel like your voices are being heard. And while we're still trying to work out the kinks as far as like the call-in show and how we're going to do that, and the fact that we do a lot of premieres, so we pre-record and then release it, that doesn't really give us an opportunity to address your comments. I'm going to be not only letting you ask your questions and addressing them each and every week, but also a lot of your comments and stuff moving forward from the previous video, I'm going to start jotting some of them down, and we're going to address them on the following episode or following show if that's possible. But, a lot of good ideas. Appreciate everybody's involvement, and we will definitely talk to you guys soon. Get on over to rowback.com. Use the promo code COVER20. It's the holidays, or it's starting to reach the holidays. Definitely got great apparel, game day apparel, regular everyday wear. I've got a ton of it. I know I've been saying that every time, but I'm telling you, I have a hard time selling products that I don't believe in. I've done it before. It's not fun. I'm not a good salesman. But when it comes to this, it's pretty easy because I truly believe everything I'm saying about Rowback. I absolutely love it. The most comfortable stuff that I own. Got multiple pieces now. Going to continue to get more. It's definitely on the Christmas list as far as the wife thinks she's going to give me some things. And she's going to be using that promo code COVER20 as well to save herself 20%. Certainly hope you guys do the same. Appreciate you guys, and we will talk to you guys soon.